This is the Crimson Corner with Bill Riley.
Walks it into the end zone for a Utah touchdown.
Your source for the best insight on everything happening in and around Utah athletics. Now, here's the host of the Crimson Corner, the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley.
Welcome into this week's edition and the podcast known as the Crimson Corner. I'm Bill Riley, the play-by-play voice of the University of Utah, back for yet another edition of the Crimson Corner podcast. We've got a lot going on this podcast. Football has reached its second bye week, and there is a lot happening with the University of Utah football, so we're going to get into that a little bit on the program today. And the basketball season has started here at the University of Utah as well, with the men's and women's programs having played on Monday night. We'll recap those and look ahead to what's later on in the week. We've got a couple of special guests coming up on the podcast today. Since we're on a bye week, we actually can get some Utah football players. So we're going to get not one, but two Utah football players on this podcast this week. We're going to get Carvalho, who has been an outstanding punt returner this year, the freshman from Hawaii who had a punt return for a touchdown last week for Utah. And then Blake Cotton, one of the defensive backs who I think has come on like gangbusters this year as the season's gone along for the University of Utah. Those guys will be special guests with us here on the program today. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our podcast sponsor. That's our friends at Advanced Window Products, Nate Orchard's company. They are the best window company in Utah, whether you're needing brand new energy efficient windows for your home, or maybe you just need some treatments from your home, blinds and shades. They do all of that stuff as well. Find them online. Call them up if you're needing a quote or just looking to get those windows upgraded in your home. Let the folks at Advanced Window Products take good care of you, and they're great sponsors and partners of ours here on the Crimson Corner podcast. So where are we starting this week? Well, we're going to start with a recap of the football game. Utah, for a third time this year at Rice-Eccles Stadium, played a top 20 team. They played the 17th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats on Saturday night. I thought it was going to be one of the best tests of the year for Utah. The way they had been playing and the way Cincinnati had been playing, they were undefeated in the Big 12 coming in. Utah took care of business big time. It was probably, we had said this last week with the Colorado game, that it was the most complete game of the year for Utah. Well, I think we can erase Colorado now and say Cincinnati was probably the most complete game of the year for the University of Utah, because they won again in all three phases, and they won in dominant fashion, 45-14. A lot like the Colorado game, they won it on offense, they won it on defense, and they won it on special teams. And I just think it's a more complete win because Cincinnati was a nationally ranked opponent coming in. They didn't have a Big 12 loss to explain away coming in. They were 17th in the country, getting a lot of hype. They were finally kind of breaking into that national discussion, and Utah ended that early on Saturday night. The return of Devin Dampier was huge for Utah. Devin returned a week after having to sit out. Bert Ficklin did a nice job against Colorado, but Devin stepping back in, 213 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He did throw the one pick, but he also ran for 78 yards, and that's really the key. Because when Devin's at his best, he's got the ability to move around. I don't think he was quite 100% yet, but the bye week will certainly help that. But he was in control from the very beginning. I mentioned he made just the one real mistake. And the offense, you can just see that he and Jason Beck, the offensive coordinator, have this connection. They worked together all year last year at New Mexico. They're simpatico in the play calling and the execution. So the return of Devin was huge. The offense was humming. The defense was stout again for Utah. They gave up just 14 points, and really, Cincinnati had 2 big plays on the night. They had the 22-yard touchdown run early by the quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, and we'll get to him in a minute. And then they had the 88-yard pass play where the wide receiver, who was fast, Cyrus Allen, he just ran past Smith Snowden, and it was a beautiful pass by Sorsby. 88 yards later, it's a house call for Cincinnati. But that was really it. Other than that, the Utah defense was terrific. They forced a turnover. The secondary had we usually talk about the pass rush with Utah complementing the back end. I thought on Saturday night it was the back end of the defense complementing the front end of the defense, because the Morgan Scalley lined up and said, we're going to play press man coverage and we're going to dare you to beat us. They beat them once, but that was it. I thought Elijah Davis, the man who will talk to us a little bit later on this podcast, Blake Cotton, Don Saunders, I thought they were all really good in their tight man coverage. And they limited the guy who came in as one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and certainly the best quarterback, at least heading into the game in the Big 12 Conference, Brendan Sorsby, to 11 of 33 for 221 yards. He had the one touchdown pass, and he threw an interception too. 11 of 33. Think about that for a minute. He had 22 incompletions against that tight man coverage. Utah didn't sack him once. It wasn't like the pressure up front. Now, the pressure up front was pretty good, but he just didn't have anywhere to throw the football. And that's a credit to the back end of the defense for Utah. As I mentioned, Elijah Davis, Blake Cotton, Don Saunders, Smith Snowden. Those guys did an outstanding job in press man coverage, and they just simply made life difficult on Brendan Sorsby and that Cincinnati offense. So Utah's now 7-2. 7-2 overall on the season, and they're now 4-2 in Big 12 play. Here are my three big takeaways from that game. Carvalho, who he will also talk about coming up here on the podcast. Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week this week. Freshman. He came in this spring. He looked good. He graduated early, got here. His dad, well, he was a football player in the late 90s here at the University of Utah. He had a 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. 94 punt return yards, the most since 2021. First punt return for a touchdown since 2021. A guy named Britton Covey. You remember him? Also not a real big guy either. He's also got the most punt return yards for a freshman since 2000. He has emerged as a weapon in special teams. He now leads the Big 12 in punt return yardage average, 15.4 a return. When you've got a guy like him, and to be fair, Utah hasn't had a consistent punt returner really since Britton Covey left. When you have that, you have something that's a weapon that just flips the field. You go, instead of starting on your own 17 or 20-yard line, to starting at the 35 or 40 or 45-yard line. You've got a guy that you know can take it to the house, and that changes the way teams punt to you. It's such a nice weapon to have. You sometimes forget about it when you don't have it for a few years, and then when you have it back again, you're like, oh, yeah, that's kind of nice to have. Your offense is starting at the 40-yard line instead of the 22-yard line. It's really nice to have. So that's takeaway number one. Carvalho has become a weapon in the special teams for Utah. Number two, Wayshawn Parker. He is definitively running back one now. Remember, it was a running back by committee when the season began. It was he and Dakari Rogers. Then they sprinkled in a little Daniel Bray and a little Nate Johnson, a little Hunter Andrews. Not anymore. Wayshawn Parker's established himself as the guy. He has got almost 700 yards rushing on the season now. He is having that kind of year. He is running back one. Great vision, good burst, good speed. He had another house call of 40 yards, 39 yards. It's back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. They line him up as a wildcat. They line him up in the slot. They line him up as the tailback. He is running back one. Utah's got a nice combination in the running game now. You've got the running quarterback in Devin Dampier. You've got the lead back in Wayshawn Parker. You've got the short yardage, tough between the tackles guy in Dakari Rogers. And then you've got Daniel Bray, who you sprinkle in on those edges where you can kind of get out to the edge. Although I will say Cincinnati didn't allow him to have as many big plays on the edge. He was still getting 5 and 6 yards a carry. But Wayshawn Parker, and I think you've got to have this. You have to have one guy that you know you can lean on as your guy, and that's what Parker's become for this offense for Utah. Number three. I don't think it's hyperbole to say this right now, that when Utah is healthy at quarterback and not beating themselves, they're as good as anyone in the Big 12 Conference. They are a playoff quality team. Will they get there? It's still a long shot, but they've got that kind of talent that they can get there. ESPN's computers absolutely positively love Utah right now. They're number 6 in the country in the S&P index. That's Bill Connolly's football index for ranking teams on all the metrics. They're number 7 right now in ESPN's FPI. So they're ahead of Texas Tech in one. They lead the Big 12 in the other. That tells you this is a good football team. Now, will that BYU loss or that Texas Tech loss be their undoing in getting to a conference championship game? Maybe, maybe not. I thought it might be, but then I dug into some of the numbers, and we'll get into that coming up here in a minute. But yes, this is a team that is as good as anybody in the Big 12 when they're healthy at quarterback, which they weren't for the second half of the BYU game, or really at all in the Texas Tech game, and when they don't beat themselves. The last 2 weeks, they have played nearly flawless football, and you've seen what happens. They put up 53 against Colorado. They put up 45 on a nationally ranked team in Cincinnati. This is a really good football team that still has a chance to get to the Big 12 title game and possibly to the college football playoff. Don't think I'm being a homer in saying that. I'll tell you why coming up. My game ball for Saturday's game. There were a lot of people that were deserving of a game ball. I wasn't going to give it to the quarterback again because that's always too easy. I'm going to give it to a guy that's had probably the best offensive season of anybody on this Utah football team. That's Ryan Davis. Ryan Davis is a redshirt senior wide receiver. It's a shame he doesn't have another year of eligibility because he's the best wide receiver Utah's had here in quite some time. He had 8 more catches for 132 yards. That's back-to-back 100-yard receiving games for Ryan Davis. And he's second in the league. He's got 56 catches for just about 700 yards. He's on pace. He's going to be very, very close to getting a 1,000-yard season. Utah's not had a 1,000-yard wide receiver since Drez Anderson back in 2014. It's been 11 years since Utah's had a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Ryan Davis has got a chance. He's going to catch close to 80 balls this year. 80 for 132. He's second in the Big 12 in catches. He's second in the Big 12 in yards right now. I'm not sure anybody had that on their bingo card before the season began, but Ryan Davis has been terrific for this Utah football team, and I thought he made more tough catches. I always say this. He's got enough speed to get downfield and make big plays, but I think the great thing that Ryan Davis brings to this football team is his ability to make the tough yards and get the first downs when you need them. And he's also got that simpatico relationship with Devin Dampier that pays dividends as well. All right, it's the bye week for Utah, their second bye week of the season. And to be very fair, Utah really caught a break with where their bye weeks fell. First week of October, really second week, first week of November, 5 games in September, bye week, 4 games in October, bye week. They've got 3 games remaining after the bye. They get to rest and heal up, which, to be fair, they haven't had major injuries for that stretch run of the final 3 games. Next game will be Baylor on November the 15th in Waco at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. We'll, of course, have it on the radio side with myself, Scott Mitchell, and Sly. It'll be on TV. I think ESPN2 has that broadcast. But the 3 remaining opponents for Utah are Baylor, K-State, and Kansas. They're 14-13 overall with a record, 9-9 in Big 12 play. 2 of them on the road, at Lawrence, at Waco, home against K-State. To be very fair, Utah's better than all 3 of these teams. They should win these games if they're focused. They begin with Baylor. I know a lot of people have written off the chance of playing for a Big 12 title. Don't do that, folks. I've been saying for a couple of weeks it was going to be a long shot. It's not as long. I dove into the numbers this week. I went through all the permutations and all the matchups and all the possibilities. The number one thing is Utah's got to have to win out. There's no room for margin on losses. So if they win their last 3 games, they put themselves in position. Here are the 2 most likely and probably only scenarios, but I'm just telling you, there's a real chance this could happen. There's 2 really good paths to Dallas for the Big 12 championship game. The first one is, follow me now, Utah's got to win out. That's in both scenarios. They have to win out. BYU wins out. Yeah, I know it's going to be painful for Utah fans to hear that, but you should root for your rival to win this weekend in Lubbock and win out. Texas Tech loses to BYU. That gives them 2 losses. Cincinnati then loses to BYU, and ASU wins out or does whatever ASU does. If that happens, if Utah wins out, if BYU wins out, you're probably looking at a Utah-BYU rematch in the Big 12 championship game in Dallas. Second scenario, Utah wins out. BYU loses at Tech and loses at Cincinnati. Tech wins out. Cincinnati loses to either TCU or Arizona, and then Utah is in the Big 12 championship game. So again, yes, several things have to happen, but they are all within reason. They are all, especially in this year in the chaos in the Big 12 conference, these are absolutely things that could happen. So again, those are the 2 most likely paths for Utah to get to Dallas. Utah wins out, BYU wins out. Or Utah wins out, BYU loses at Tech and Cincy. Cincy loses to either Cincinnati or Arizona. And then you've got Utah and Texas Tech matching up. in a Big 12 championship game. So either way, if Utah gets to Dallas, they'll be looking at a rematch with either Utah and BYU or Utah and Texas Tech in a Big 12 championship game. But the first thing that absolutely has to happen in either one of those scenarios is Utah's got to win out. If Utah gets a third loss, it's no bueno. They're not going to Dallas for a Big 12 championship game. We'll revisit this next week on the Crimson Corner when a few other results have happened. Nothing will be Utah related because they're on a bye week this week. But there is, I'm just telling you, there's still a real possibility and a real path for Utah to still play in a Big 12 championship game. We're going to have to grab our first break here on the Crimson Corner. Coming up, our first guest today is the guy I mentioned as Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week. That's Carvalho, freshman from Kahuku High School in Hawaii. Well, he has made himself a nice addition to the Utah Special Teams unit. We'll talk to him a little bit about growing up in a Utah household in Hawaii and what he means to this program and how things are for him as a freshman. Blake Cotton will follow. Then we'll talk some hoops, all coming up on the Crimson Corner.
Here's another insider interview on the Crimson Corner podcast.
All right, continuing on the Crimson Corner podcast here today. It's bye week, so we don't always have access to athletes and Utah football players especially. They're so busy during the year, but with it being a bye week, we're lucky enough to grab a couple of guys. Blake Cotton's going to join us coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll talk some defense with him, but I thought it would be fun to talk with our next guest because he's really emerged the last couple of weeks for Utah football, especially in the special teams game. You saw him. You might have heard my call, the 75-yard punt return for a touchdown Saturday night. It was great to see the special teams and the return game pop it again. And Carvalho is with us here on the pod today. First of all, thanks for doing this. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Your first ever podcast?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you had your first ever punt return for touchdown on Saturday night.
Yes,
let's talk about this for just a minute. You're leading the Big 12 in punt return yardage. I'm not sure if you knew that.
I didn't even know that.
15.4 yards per return. 75 yards to the house will help you there. You're also the first freshman since 2000 and the first Ute since Covey in 2021 to take one to the house. It's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. Amazing.
So let's talk about this. What is it about the punt return game that you love? Because you were an elite returner in high school, too. I think I saw you won the return or special teams player of the year in the Islands, right?
Yes.
Like your junior year?
Junior and sophomore year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So where does that love of the return game come from?
Growing up, I always had older guys that played for Koku, actually, like Keala Santiago, who actually played here for a season, I think, and Kekaula Kaniho, who played at Boise State. They were just risk takers back there, and I just enjoyed loving watching them return punts and just hearing the crowd go crazy. So growing up, that was something I always wanted to do.
It's one thing to return kicks, and hardly anybody returns kicks anymore because kickers are so good, they just kick them out of the back of the end zone. But punt returning is a different thing, man. You're back there by yourself. The ball is in the air forever. You've got like 7 gunners coming down the field trying to blow you up. What goes through your mind when that ball goes up in the air, Mana? You're standing back. You have an idea of where you need to stand, but when that ball goes off the punter's foot, what's going through your head?
Just really tracking the ball, and my gunners just do a great job of slowing down their side of getting to me. So just trusting in my blockers and making sure that I know where the ball is at and I could be able to track it into my hands.
I used to talk to Britton Covey all the time. Britton's a friend, and I talked to him about it. He said, Bill, the number one thing you've got to do is catch the football.
Oh, yeah,
You got to catch the football. But the number 2 thing you've got to do is make the first guy miss.
Oh, yeah.
What is your process once you catch the football?
Definitely make that first guy miss. And it is kind of easy because they think you don't really know what's going on the field because you're tracking the ball. But really it's a feel thing of where that person is. So right when you catch the ball, it's, oh, this person's right here on my left or my right. So you know where to make the cut. And it's just really, once you get the ball, that's when you kind of visualize yourself making a play and just trying to make it into reality.
So you've done it more than once in your career, but the other night, when did you know, okay, I've got this?
Kind of after cutting through that middle and making the first cut and knowing that I just have the punter to beat, and with a whole bunch of sideline on my left side, it was just perfect, and I knew I had to just go out there and execute and make the punter miss.
You cannot let the kicker get you, can you?
Definitely.
You cannot. I mean,
coaches praise that.
Oh, my gosh. You go back to the sideline and the kicker gets you, you're going to hear it.
Oh, yes.
When you get to film review on Sunday or Monday, you're going to hear it, aren't you?
Yeah, and definitely not only just the couple of days after, I'll just hear it for the rest of my life, I think.
So I always ask guys this. I ask running backs this, wide receivers this, whoever. When you get into the open field and you're heading toward that end zone, what do you hear? Do you hear the crowd or is it quiet?
Honestly, I did not even hear the crowd of how loud they were until I scored the touchdown, but I'm just hearing myself breathe and just trying to get through the pylon and celebrate with my teammates.
That's what most guys say, too. They don't hear anything until they hit the end zone.
Yes, sir. Don't hear anything.
So you've experienced, I always, in football, really in sports, but in football in particular, certain positions, you've got to have a short memory. If you watch Ted Lasso, the TV show, it's the memory of a goldfish. You got to have that short memory. Defensive backs have to have it. I'm sure Smith Snowden the other night after he got beat for that, he has to have a short memory. You've experienced the highs and the lows of punt returning this year. The BYU game, I know you'd love to have that back, so you experienced that, but then you experienced the very high of it. How do you deal with that as an athlete, as a return man, as a football player? Because knowing there's going to be great moments and there might be those moments that you'd like to have back.
Definitely, really just trusting that my teammates and coaches believe in me and don't really care about what outside people say, just because what they say isn't really 100% true. It's just off of emotions. So just knowing things like that, they're just saying things just because something went bad or something went good. So for me, it's just trusting in what we do here in the facility and what we do as a team and with the coaches. So just knowing that when it's time to make a play, it'll be amazing. But when it's bad, just know that your teammates have your back. And just like, of course, RD during the press conference, he had my back. And it's just amazing to have great teammates. So.
Well, I remember I was up in the booth, obviously, but TV showed, and I was looking downstairs with the binoculars. Your teammates were all coming up, dapping you up, putting their arm around you, letting you know they had you, right?
Yes, sir.
That has to mean a lot in the moment because you don't feel great in the moment, do you?
Oh, yeah. The BYU one, man, even when I dropped that one, teammates was still.
That's what I was talking about, yeah.
It was just they had my back, and they knew it was a rough time. It was a big moment. It did really flip the game. We're tied up and put them up a field goal going into half. So they knew I were going to have another opportunity that game. So just say, put your head up, and you're going to get another one this night. So make sure you make a better decision on that one.
And you did. Amano, you grew up in a Utah household. For those who don't know, your dad played here, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
What's your earliest memory of Utah and being a Utah fan and seeing games with your dad talking about it? What's your earliest memory of Utah?
Definitely just being around Coach McBride. He's just a wonderful guy. He definitely took me and my brother under his wing and kind of gave us advice every time we'll go eat lunch or breakfast with him, with my dad. So he's a wonderful guy, and just watching all those football games with Britt Covey returning, it was just amazing.
And you and Britt have met each other, haven't you?
Yes, we have. My dad actually came here to drop off some gifts to Coach Witt because they obviously know each other for a long time. And so happy Britt was in the room, and I got to meet him.
And if I'm not mistaken, you told me this, and then I asked Coach Witt, and he confirmed it. Coach put you guys back to back to see who was taller?
Yes.
And who's taller?
Coach Witt gave me an inch, so so I was happy with that.
Plus, you've got the hair. You got the hair going too.
Yeah.
Britt's a little thinner on top. You've got that hair going, so that might have given you an inch and a half, 2 inches.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too. What was it like growing up in the islands? Because I think everybody that's a mainlander, like I am and others, we go vacation there and we're like, oh, this is paradise. What would it be like to live in Hawaii full time? You grew up there. What's it like to live and grow up in Hawaii?
It's something completely different, and it's amazing. Everybody talks about like, oh, I love to go on vacation there. But when you live there, it really is, especially from where I'm from the countryside. So it's just amazing. Everybody knows everybody. All your neighbors, like Toa he's literally my next door neighbor back at home. And Brock Fonoy Moana also lives right down the street. And it's just amazing just knowing people, and you could literally walk outside 2 a.m. and you'll still be safe just because it's a family-friendly home area.
Do you miss it? Do you miss being home? I mean, Utah's your home now for at least the next few years, but what do you miss most about the islands?
The warm weather. Oh, my gosh. The warm weather. During the games, it was freezing cold, and people was like, oh, it's not even that cold, but where I'm from, it is freezing.
This is cold for you.
Oh, yes. Low 50s. Well, you think it's warm? I think it's cold.
I know you were here in the spring, so you experienced some snow, but it's going to get colder.
Oh, yes. I've been here, was it January? I got to be here. So that winter training block was kind of harsh for me with the weather, but it was a fun experience.
Are you a cliff jumper?
Yes, I am.
Oh, see, what is it about you guys? I remember Bradley and I, when he was here, he used to send me videos of him jumping off those cliffs into the ocean. Do you guys all do that?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I got a video of the same exact place. It's called Layup Point, and it's just entertainment for ourselves and just having fun, and it just takes our mind off of football and just really get to relax.
Well, we're glad you're here, that's for sure. And there's such a great tradition. Your dad's part of it, you're part of it, of the Islanders coming here. It's a kind of a fraternity too, isn't it? I mean, you guys, the guys from Hawaii and from the islands that come play here, you know, you're in a family already at the University of Utah, but that's kind of that family group inside the family, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Other people from Hawaii over here, like Kanai Lopes, he's from Waianae, and just being able to talk with other people from the islands, or not only just from Hawaii, but from like Samoa or Tonga, it's just amazing to hear their background and where they came from and how they got here to the D1 level.
Yeah, that's fantastic stuff. And the high school you played at, Kahuku, has a great tradition in football too.
Yes.
Now, some would say Kahuku, some would say, what's the best high school for football?
Oh, Kahuku.
Better than St. Louis?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know you're a little biased on that, but so how's your experience been here? You haven't been here quite a year. It'll be a year in January,
yes, sir.
But you're playing ball now. You're playing a role on this team. How's your experience been?
I love it here. The coaching staff does a really great job of preparing us throughout the week for the games on Saturday, and just being around a great group of guys. And I know that a lot of people transferred in, and we have a whole like new looking team from last year. So the way they just said, everyone bought into the culture, and it was just amazing.
You've carved out your niche as a return guy, but you were also a pretty good wide receiver and I think defensive back too in high school, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to play? Do you see, does the coaching staff have a role for you moving forward probably in the receiving game?
Hopefully in the receiving game, but as of right now, just special teams, and just hopefully God works his ways and I could see the field on offense and try to make something happen.
Well, continue to impact the field the way you're impacting the field now, because whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, it all matters. And the impact you've made, especially the last 2 weeks, has been terrific. What are you going to do? You do anything fun on your bye week?
I'll probably head up to Idaho with Tanoa Tongiai.
Okay.
Close with his family. His dad's actually from my side of the island, so it was really great meeting his family, and they brought me in just like one of theirs, and so probably head out to Idaho with him.
You've been to Idaho before?
The last bye week, yes, I did.
Okay, head up there. There's a few guys from Idaho on this team. Teo's from up in Idaho as well. Yeah.
Got quite a guys.
All right. Well, hey, enjoy your bye week. Continue all the stuff you're doing right now, and we'll talk to you soon again.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
It's Monica Carvalho with us here on the Crimson Corner. We'll take a short time out. We come back. We'll talk a little defense with Blake Cotton. All that coming up. Stay with us.
The best insight on all things Utah athletics. It's the Crimson Corner Podcast.
All right, thanks to Monica Carvalho for joining us here on Crimson Corner. We're going to go from special teams to defense, which Mana actually played a lot in high school. He was a really good, all-state defensive back. Now he's a return guy. We're going to talk defense with a guy who I just think has gotten every week it feels like he's getting better and better out on the edge. And last week when Utah was playing all that press coverage on Cincinnati, guys that play the defensive back position generally love playing that press man. Blake Cotton, senior corner, transfer from UC Davis, SoCal native, I think Sherman Oaks. I think he's from that Sherman Oaks area in Southern California, joining us right now here on Crimson Corner. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Am I right when Coach Scally says, let's play some press man today? You guys get pretty excited?
Yes, you are very correct.
So let's talk about that Cincinnati game. Sorsby comes in, top quarterback in the Big 12, super efficient, high quarterback rating, having an unbelievable season, and you guys hold him to 11 of 33.
Yeah.
Hit 221. He had the one long ball over the top, but for the most part, not a lot of big plays. A lot of PBUs in that game at the line of scrimmage and out in the secondary as well. But it just felt like every time he looked, he didn't have windows to throw. You guys were all over those guys.
Yeah. Scally, right before the game, he was talking about just playing more press coverage, not as much off or zone, just because press messes up the timing. Even if it's by a little bit, he might hesitate a little bit, and the throw might be off just by a small margin. So, that was a great game plan. We, already play man enough. So for him to emphasize that before the game was important.
Was that one of the things when you're in the portal and you're looking at places you want to transfer to for your last year of football, played at a high level at the 1AA level at UC Davis for a couple of years, when you're looking around and you see Utah's defense and you see the way the style of play, was that appealing to you?
Yeah, it was. Being on an island, being in the one-on-one position every play, that's something that's appealing to me, and something I wanted to get better at, man coverage. So the only way to get better is by playing it more.
All right, we'll get back to that in a minute. So you grow up in Southern California. You're a highly touted guy. You have places to go. UC Davis is where you end up beginning your career. Big Sky. Everybody around here knows about the Big Sky because of Weber State and all the great years there. But Davis. So what was your early experience like collegiately when you make that jump from high school to college?
It was pretty cool. I would say I was thrown into the fire my freshman year of college. First game against Cal, just thrown into the fire, made a couple plays. It was pretty cool. I would say the jump from high school to college football was quick, but I enjoyed every minute playing my freshman year and so on.
So you play 3 years at Davis.
Yep.
Guys have some success there. When did you know, okay, I think I can play at that next level up? Not just the next level up, pretty high. There's a lot of levels above 1AA, but You're playing at the Big 12 level now. When did you kind of know, okay, I think I'm good enough to make that jump. I want to try it.
Man, I always knew I was good enough. I more so view like UC Davis as like a stepping stone. But after I would say my junior year, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to go somewhere else, and like see where my potential lies in a different program. And yeah, here we are now.
I'm always curious because a lot of guys enter the portal and they have big dreams. It doesn't always work out.
Right.
And other guys like you enter and you get those opportunities to do it. When you're looking around, what was going to be important for Blake Cotton? What was going to be important to you if you're making that jump and you're leaving Davis, a place where you were successful, you were going to test yourself on the next level? What was going to be important for you?
Just finding the right coaching. I think that's the most important part. At least when I visited Utah, I knew it was real because, the whole coaching staff was just saying that, you have to earn it regardless. Some coaches, you'll go visit a school and they say, oh, we got a spot, saved for you. But that's not the case. And I knew they were, a genuine coaching staff when they told me that. So that's what gravitated me towards Utah. And yeah, that's what I said.
Were you aware of the program? Did you follow as a college football fan? Utah's gone to Southern California for years now, not just to recruit, but they played USC and UCLA every year.
Right.
They went to the Rose Bowl. They went to Pac-12 championship games. Were you at least aware of Utah and the program and how they played?
Yeah, I was aware. It's just crazy to think, that I ended up here. Like watching those games before, you would have never thought, So, yeah, I was aware. It's a good program.
Yeah, they had good dudes, too. Jalen Johnson played corner. He's starting for the Bears. Clark Phillips was an All-American. He was playing. Cole Bishop's playing. Guys in the secondary. Morgan Scalley and Sharif Shaw have cranked out a lot of guys that have been all-conference level players and guys going to play at the next level.
Right. Yeah, I feel like my development has skyrocketed, at least from coming from Davis to here. Like I said, just the coaching, like just being able to progress as a player. Like Coach Shaw, for example, not letting anything slide. He's always on us. So I think that's what made me a better player.
So what ultimately, where else were you looking? So you probably had some other offers in places that you were looking at. Give me a couple of other names if you're comfortable doing that, and what ultimately sold you on Utah.
I was looking at ASU, Louisville a little bit, Miami, Ohio.
Okay.
But what sold me on Utah was probably the track record of, DBs that made it to the next level. And like I said before, just the genuine coaching staff and the culture that I experienced day one on my visit. That's what I would say.
So you come in here and everybody talks about the family and the culture and the feel that you feel when you're here in the building. Did you feel that pretty quickly?
I did, really quickly. I don't know. You just got that gut feeling. Something just told me it was the right place for me.
How was the adjustment period for you when you get here, you practice, adjusting? A game situation's one thing, but you have to assimilate yourself into the program. You're coming from a different place.
Right.
And everybody is as good as you, right, or better or on the same level. So how was that kind of getting used to the program, assimilating in process for you, Blake?
I would say it was actually pretty smooth. I like to say I'm a pretty coachable player. And, when I got here, I think I was able to just lean a little bit on the experience I already have on top of, taking in the feedback they were giving me and trying to apply it the best that I can.
Where do you think you're a better player now than maybe even a year ago or 2 years ago when you were at Davis?
Man, I would say everything.
Yeah.
Coverage, zone coverage, technique, and also just mindset, because you got to have a special mindset to play DB. Just that mindset that, don't really, before when you line up in front of somebody, you're not thinking about the result. You just do it clear-headed, and you want to win every time.
DB's a tough position now.
Yeah.
You're going to win sometimes, but you're going to lose sometimes.
Right.
And I can't remember if it was you. There were two long completions. He had the long one for 88 yards last weekend, but there was one for 45 that it was just a great throw and a great route. And sometimes you can do everything right, and a good throw will beat you.
Right.
So that mindset, I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso when it was on Apple.
Yep.
The mind of the goldfish. You got to have the memory of a goldfish.
Right.
Because you got to line back up. I was talking about that with Mana earlier. He had the tough punt situation against BYU. Got to erase that and come back and do it. And the last 2 weeks he's been fantastic. So how do you put that mind? How do you develop that mindset where I'm going to win sometimes, but I'm going to lose sometimes, but I've just got to forget it because the next rep's coming, man. Whether
Right.
you like it or not, that next rep's coming.
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to think about it is DB or corner for specifically wouldn't be fun if we won all the time. It would just defeat the purpose of the position. So you're going to lose some reps, but then that's what makes you a DB. That's what I feel like. The mindset, don't give up, just get back up, forget about it, and then move on.
There aren't a lot of spots in football where you're just one-on-one.
Right.
A lot of times you're in the line, you're grouping, things like that. But when you're playing corner, especially in this defense, you're one-on-one. Right. You're on an island. You like that?
I love it. I love it every time. It's a little nerve-wracking, obviously, get butterflies, but, you just got to love it. That's why they call it Spotlight, because it's on us.
Tell our listeners, Utah fans, about being coached by Sharif Shaw, what that's like.
Man, I love it. Honestly, it's fun. Sometimes he'll make you feel like, dang, I really need to get better. But at the same time, he only wants the best interest for you. He wants you to be, the best player you can be. But, yeah, he's great coach, unrelenting, always screaming. But I know it's just to make us better.
Well, he was an attorney for a long time. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I knew it.
And he was my broadcast partner. Mm-hmm. Before he became Sharif Shaw, defensive backs coach, corners coach, he was part of the broadcast team with us. He was a sideline reporter, but he was always a coach. It was like, I was like, man, if you ever decided you wanted to be a coach. And Coach Witt would come at him every year. He's like, you should stop being a lawyer and start being a coach. And he's like, no, I can't do that, Coach. I can't do that. Every year, Coach Witt would come out, and he finally wore him down, and now he's been that the defensive backs coach for, I'll say about 13 years now. Yeah.
13, yeah.
So, yeah, he's always had that in him, and he was a really good defensive back in his day too. But, yeah, he's such a big personality and such a perfect person to coach that position.
I couldn't agree more.
So what are you doing when you're not playing football? It's a bye week this week. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing when Blake Cotton's not out here at the facility and not playing football? What are you doing for fun?
I like to, get on the games with my friends, hang out with friends. I'm probably going to go home this week.
Go back to SoCal?
Yeah, see the family. But, yeah, I really, I'll just be hanging out, chilling on my own time.
Is pro football something you would like to do when this college stuff is done?
Yes.
Do you feel like you've got a better chance now, or you're better further along having come to Utah and being with this staff to reaching that goal of playing in the NFL?
Most definitely. Yes, I do. I feel like I've just developed as a player. Still got a lot of work to do, of course, but I feel like, my eyes are set on that goal. And coming here was the right choice.
Everybody wants to play at a high level. Everybody wants to compete and be on that. You've gotten to do all that stuff this year. National TV, game day, huge games, wins against top 20 teams. Is kind of this what you envisioned when you decided to leave Davis and come to Utah? Is this how you kind of envisioned it and what you wanted it to look like?
This is exactly how I wanted it to look. I've always just wanted to play in front of big crowds, big stadiums, like under the lights. That's always been my dream. And, coming to Utah, it's fulfilled that.
You probably heard when you came here about Rice-Eccles Stadium and playing in front of that crowd and playing at night.
Right.
Now you've played some day games, but you've played some night games. Is there a different energy at night?
It's so loud. Like, it's like deafening. Like, it's loud. Like, you can't even hear the person next to you. Like on Mana's punt return, like that was the loudest stadium I've ever been in at that point. Like it was just, I couldn't even hear myself breathe. It was so loud.
Does the loud help you guys defensively? Do you notice that crowd impacting what you guys are doing defensively?
I do notice it, but at the same time, I'm not really focused on it too much. Like especially when I gotta cover a guy, like I just kind of tune it out, but it does help when like in between plays you can really hear it.
DBs are interesting. Yeah. Some guys are talkers, some guys aren't talkers. Where does Blake Cotton fall in the talker or non-talker to the guy lining up in front of you category?
At first, I like to just let my game do the talk, and then after I make a couple plays, that's when it starts. But I don't like to talk until I prove it.
You are a gesture guy, though.
Yeah,
you do, when that pass goes incomplete or you knock that pass away, I do notice you don't mind making the gesture, do you?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I'm just, in that mode, or most of the time I am. It's just like, you just want to let your game do the talk before you start talking too much. That's what I'll say. All
right, before I let you go, you guys have 3 games left. And the possibilities that you were looking at before the season are still in play.
Right.
They are. There's a lot of scenarios that still get you guys to a Big 12 championship game and maybe even the college football playoff. What's the talk amongst the players bye week and with the final 3 games remaining? What's the conversation among you guys as you look ahead?
We obviously don't know what's going to happen, but we just talking amongst each other, just leave it all out there. We got to we got to win. yeah, just make sure we, leave nothing left for these last 3 games. Because we all believe that it's going to turn out in our favor. But at the end of the day, you never know. But the best thing you can do is just to, like I said, leave it all out there
and control what you can control, and that's winning, right?
Right.
Well, hey, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Have a good bye week if you go home to Sherman Oaks this weekend.
Yes, sir. Enjoy
the family for a bit, and then come back here ready for Baylor next week.
Yep.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you.
Blake Cotton with us here on the Crimson Corner.
You're listening to the Crimson Corner podcast with the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley.
Big thank you to Monica Carvalho and Blake Cotton for taking a few minutes with us on their bye week to join us here on Crimson Corner. Again, Utah's off this week. They'll play at Baylor on the 15th. Basketball, however, is not off this week. Both the men and the women opened up on Monday in Salt Lake City at the John M. Huntsman Center. And the men's team got an 84-75 win. Alex Jensen never lost a game as a player at the Huntsman Center. Never in his career. Lost a game at the Huntsman Center. Well, guess what? He's still undefeated. He and his team get an 84-75 win over San Jose State Monday night. Alex is 1-0 as a head coach at the University of Utah. It was a good effort. It was a fight throughout the night. San Jose State came in with 12 new faces as well. Tim Miles' team put up a good fight, but Utah down the stretch did what they needed to do. They made shots, which they really didn't do in the exhibition game. They knocked down 10 threes in the game. I thought Terrence Brown and Don McHenry were really good in the backcourt. And then one of the real surprises for me, and I thought it was fantastic, the freshman from Southern California and IMG Academy, Kendall Sanders, had 9.7 rebounds and 2 block shots. So some good stuff in that first game. A ton of teaching moments for Alex Jensen and his guys, too. They'll be back in action on Saturday at 5 o'clock at the Huntsman Center against Weber State. So come out and get a glance at these guys. They'll get better as things go along, but a nice way to begin the Alex Jensen era with an 84-75 win over San Jose State. And the women, early in the day on Monday, opened up their second season under Gavin Peterson with an 88-62 win over Sioux Falls. Just kind of a workmanlike effort over a team that's a D2 team out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Evelina Otto, the freshman from Latvia, had 15 points and 9 rebounds. Nice effort for her. Another freshman, Avery Jelmstead, 14 points. She's the sharpshooter from Oklahoma, the 4-star recruit. She had a good debut. And Lonnie White, who began her career at Utah, went to Virginia Tech for a year, came back, had 8 points and 6 rebounds in her return. So, again, just kind of a workmanlike effort across the board and a 26-point win over a D2 opponent in Sioux Falls. Up next, though, a little bit stiffer test. They have to go on the road, this Utah women. The Utah women go on the road on Friday night. They'll go up to Logan to play Utah State. And that game will be up in Logan on Friday night. A little bit bigger test, a little bit better opponent, and certainly a road game as well for Gavin Peterson's team. So those are some of the things that happened with the men's and women's basketball programs as they opened up on Monday night. The season is underway. And then, of course, Big 12 stuff will be just around the corner for both. Those begin in late December, early January for the Utah men's and women's programs. Big thank you today to the 2 football players coming by to say hi. Again, it's a bye week, and I appreciate both Blake Cotton and Monica Carvalho for coming by and joining us here on Crimson Corner. Big thank you as well to Nick Bowler-Jack for stopping by and producing things here today on the Crimson Corner. And a thank you as well to our sponsor, Advanced Window Products, for helping bring you the Crimson Corner podcast each and every week. Enjoy the football weekend off, Utah fans. Take in a little basketball, if you will. And we'll be back here next week with more Crimson Corner. I'm Bill Riley saying so long and go Utes.
You've been listening to the Crimson Corner podcast with Bill Riley. Bill is back next week with the latest on Utes. Download previous Crimson Corner episodes on all major podcast platforms.